We're at the Balancing Rock Trail at the Visitor Center in Valley of Fire State Park. And you could almost miss this trail. Here's the trailhead. And there's nothing that says Balancing Rock. There's just a little sign that says trail. But if you look on the map here, then you can see there's the Balancing Rock Trail here. So let's take a look and see if we're actually on the Balancing Rock Trail and if there's actually a balancing rock. Here we go. Well, amazing rock formations already. We haven't even seen the balancing rock yet. But look at this. Fiery red rock from which the valley gets its name. And here we are, just a few feet into the Balancing Rock Trail. So let's go ahead and delve further in. Oh, let's take a close-up though. All the rocks here have been marked by the weather into thousands of intricate crevices and designs. Here's another look. It's like this all over the park. Pretty amazing. If you were a little animal, you'd have a lot of little caves and homes to live in. Okay, let's continue on the trail. I do believe the Balancing Rock is coming into view. Here we go. There it is. There are a lot of balancing rocks in this park that have been left in that position as the elements have worn away the base of the rock. Here's a 360-degree view of where we are. Just amazing rock formations all around us. And there you can see the visitor center up ahead. We have not traveled very far. I think we're looking at 0.1 miles for this trail, which makes it a really nice trail. I'm creating a list of trails that I'm going to come back to in about 20 or 30 years when my distance capability has been greatly hampered by age, and this is one of the trails. Give you an experience of being out in the wilderness without having to travel long miles. Exactly how this rock ended up here is a real mystery to me. I'm sure that a geologist could explain the whole process, but wow, look at this. Sometimes it's nice to just look at something without having to explain it scientifically and experience the wonder of it all. Okay, let's do a 360-degree look around this rock. We can do this because this trail is so short. Here's the side you do not want to be on during an earthquake. It's not the easiest thing to walk and look up and shoot a video here at the same time because the trail is so uneven. Here's a perspective on the backside that's even more dramatic. If you really want to see the full balancing rock, you got to walk around it. Let's go up a little higher here. Wow, look at this. Look at this balancing act. Looks impossible. Give you an idea what we're walking around here. Here's the base of the rock. And oh, there are drop-offs all around, so you definitely don't want to be looking up at the balancing rock and walking at the same time. Could be hazardous to your health. But it's pretty amazing, 0.1 miles from the visitor center. If this rock had been 10 miles out, it still might be a destination. So here we are, the balancing rock at Valley of Fire Park. Definitely, you have to walk around the rock to get the full experience. And here we are walking into the rising sun, so who knows what this is going to do to the video. And as I cautioned not to do, we're looking up at the rock and proceeding in a forward motion at the same time. Okay, now we kind of lose the nature of the rock and its balancing act. Now it's more of a pinnacle. Which kind of shows if you're going to experience Valley of Fire Park, you do need to meander around the rock formations, because look, here's the balancing rock, the backside. If you were just walking on a trail and you walk past this, you wouldn't even look up and notice anything different. So it really, for Valley of Fire Park, what you want to do is get into these pinnacle formations and just meander all through the formation so you can see things emerge that otherwise you would miss. Give you an idea what the base of the rock looks like. See a little pile of debris down here. And that's that's part of the whole experience of Valley Fire Park too. It would be a great detective experience just to walk through this park and see the debris that's on the ground, and then ask yourself, how did that get there? What forces of nature placed this debris in this spot, and where did it come from? And if you were to reconstruct rock and a rock formation, what would that look like? Anyway, these are the types of things that fascinate the mind. In fact, there's an entire Apache Native American tracker society. I think Tom Brown is the person who has written a series of books, and the whole idea of tracking is to ask yourself that very question, to ask yourself, look at things and determine, how did that get there? And the Native American Apaches were actually among the best trackers in all of history. They lived in the Nevada area. I mean, not Nevada, in Nebraska area, a very sandy area. And what they would do is they would watch animals walk around and interact with each other, and then they would go look at their tracks and determine, okay, what I saw was this type of activity, and here are the tracks. Now, for most of us, if you talk about tracking, you're just talking about identifying different footprints and saying this footprint is this particular animal. But for an Apache Native American tracker, it was much more involved. It was a process of looking at the tracks and putting back together the story of what actually happened to create those tracks. What were the animals doing? And you could take this even further, and you could look at anything in life and then back engineer it in a way. Back engineering is not just for IT, but back engineering, you can back engineer anything that you see and begin to ask the question, how did that come about? How did what I see come about? And it could be a physical phenomenon. It could also be a social phenomenon. How did this social phenomenon occur? And this kind of tracking, going backwards and reconstructing, is one of the most enlightening experiences you can have in life. And so I encourage you to do some tracking in these wilderness areas and determine how things ended up where they are, and then begin to take that whole philosophy everywhere into life. And what wisdom, what knowledge would emerge from that process. Okay, enough for that's a whole lot more than what you might experience with balancing rock, but everything around here is it's like a microcosm of all knowledge if you look deeply enough. And so I'll just leave it at that. Balancing Rock Trail in Valley of Fire State Park, Nevada. By the way, I just want to make one more epilogue. You've got me started on this Native American tracking. I actually had the opportunity to walk on a trail with someone who had gone to the Tom Brown Native American Tracking School. I think it's in the Northeast. And her name's Norma Shell. She wrote a book, and I forget the name of the book right now, but you can look up Norma Shell. And she used the knowledge that she gleaned from this whole process to cure herself of MS. So I'll leave that little jewel here for you to ponder upon. There is a powerful knowledge in tracking that affects all of life. Okay, that's all I'm going to say. By the way, how did Norma Shell heal herself from MS using Native American Apache tracker knowledge? Well, in Nebraska, a very sandy area, how do you populate a desert? She found, or the Native American trackers discovered, studied, researched just by observation that the way a desert area is repopulated with plants is not to have the entire desert area repopulated, but there are nodes where you have a tree, you have some plants around the tree, that expands. And so the whole idea was that healing occurs around nodes. And so she healed herself from MS with the idea that healing actually occurs in the human body around certain nodes too. You have an area that is healthy and experiencing health, and you expand that healthy area. And over time, it creates health, spreads health throughout the body. I can't say everything about this, because you'd really have to read her book, Norma Schell, Schell, I believe. But the way things change, and the way something that is broken and injured becomes fixed is through taking a healthy area and expanding that healthy area to encompass a larger and larger area, and ultimately creating health throughout the entire body. So just a thought.